Hi everyone, we're back. It's the Flat Earth Conspiracy Channel, and we're doing another live broadcast, typical Wednesday. And thank you for joining us. When you jump in and get in chat, and we'll try to monitor that and see what you have going for us. Hello, Lawrence. Hello, Ronnie. And we're going to just sort of kick it off today. My apologies, I'm a little frazzled. I just got in from a long job today, and so I'm not really all that tuned in and with it. But I'm going to let the guys start off, probably specifically Ronnie, who is going to talk about probably the poles and star trails again, and some more updates on how we're sure that we do not live on a circle sphere, nor do we live on a circle azimuthal equidistant map / Gleason's. And we're going to continue relentlessly to show you why we feel that way, what evidence we have, what proofs we have, and we're just going to keep kind of driving it home. We were supposed to have a guest tonight. We'll see if he shows up. We did not name names on purpose because we weren't sure that he was going to be here, but we'll give it a little time and see if he wants to tune in and see if he wants to join us. So, hi Lawrence, hi Ronnie, how are you guys?
On mute. Yep. Here in spirit, if nothing else, Laurie. I've had a busy week.
Okay, well, that's all right. It's been kind of a hectic week for everyone, so everybody's been working hard trying to catch up on real life and haven't had a lot of time for flat earth shenanigans. So, Ronnie, do you have something you'd like to present to us this evening?
Yeah, sure, always. Yeah, nice to see you again, Lawrence and Lori. Always a pleasure.
You as well.
I wanted to bring up One Willicky, a channel that's been following you guys for a while, has suggested that he'd like to work with Lawrence on the diamond map. Lawrence, are you aware of One Willicky?
Yeah, I saw the video you sent. I haven't said anything to the guy yet. I was just wondering why he got the goldfish bit at the start of it. I'm wondering what all that was about.
What's the goldfish bit? I'm out of the loop on that.
He put out this video which showed the Caligna map, the diamond map,
right,
with the movements of the sun superimposed, a 3D modelling of the sun over it. And but the intro to it was some strange-looking characters who were eating goldfish.
Oh yeah, I saw that and I thought it was kind of weird and kind of cute and not really sure what that's from, because it must be from some sort of pulp fiction kind of
it's only
movie
a 3D
or something.
Have you got it to show, Ronnie?
What's that again? Sorry, the One Willicky?
Yeah,
video.
The video that he said he was down with the diamond map.
Yeah, I can get it. I don't have it queued, but I'll get it right now.
All right. Well, we can come back to it. So whatever you have queued, maybe go ahead and kick off with that, and then we'll come back around. But shout out to One Willicky for your fun and interesting sense of wonder and humor and so on.
Totally.
Okay, so you're presenting, Ronnie. Go ahead.
Okay, so, a lot of people generally have been proposing that Robotham is some sort of hero or leader of some movement. And with my own research that I've been doing, hopefully this is sharing. I've been, searching documents and reading, different ideas and concepts for, the Book of Earths. And throughout the ages, there's been many shapes, sizes, planes, spiritual realms, everything you could ever imagine. The person who wrote this book is really good. I'm going to leave the link to the book in the description below. They even have what would be almost like a tree earth. They've got the turtle earth. And, fascinating enough, Lori, the turtle shell was supposedly instituted in the Chinese sky lore when Gong Hong broke the pillar of heaven and tilted the ecliptic of the sky.
And let me take a guess. Did he tilt the ecliptic to 23.4 degrees?
Yes, you nailed it. The author of this book has, we can see there's many depictions of the Egyptian, as well as, you could picture the Earth being underneath this section here with the magnetics, and these concentric circles would be the individual planets or the wandering stars, sun and moon. They would travel around us from east to west, which is really interesting. As well, you can see the definite angle to the sky that the Egyptians they knew. I'll continue on with this. Fascinating enough, I can bring up another slide. The person who wrote this book, it's funny when you start reading. It says this is a compendium of theories of the shape of Earth, along with a great deal of Earth mystery, love, richly illustrated. The Book of Earth includes many unusual theories, including Columbus's idea that the Earth was literally pear-shaped, modern theories that the Earth was originally tetrahedral, and so on. Kenton also covers many traditional theories, including the ancient Babylonians and Egyptians, Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, and the Peruvians, Aztecs, Mongols, and a modern discuss of all alternative theories, such as that of the Reed and Koresh. Strangely enough, she misuses or ignores the modern flat Earth theory of Robotham.
Strange. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Misses or ignores, not misuses, but yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Completely left out. And the book was written in 1928. Some of the interesting things that you'll find are the discussions of the many shapes. I didn't know it was Columbus that actually came up with the ridiculous idea of the Earth to be a pear. Eclipses. They discuss many different things that I won't get quite into, but some of the most fascinating concepts would be the tent or the Tabernacle of Moses with the vaulted roof representing the cosmos above, and this entire layout was completely aligned with the cardinal directions, the sun, the moon, the stars reflected in the candles. It's quite a beautiful thing, as well as the Earth universe cosmology was also depicted as similar to the Ark of the Covenant. But I can keep going on. This is a funny excerpt that I just like to share with the viewers. Hopefully I'm not boring everyone. I know some people only like to listen to like 5 or 10 minutes.
No, you're doing fine. Please, because you know what, this is a pretty in-depth sort of research area with regards to all the ancient beliefs and philosophies and so on. So if people find it boring while they're watching, then they can chat. If they find it boring while they're watching the archived version, then they can fast forward. But I can't imagine anyone finding the history of the flat Earth cosmology to be boring. But go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, and you know what's really awesome is that she comes at this position with the only seemingly bias would be towards Robotham, but we'll get to that in a few more slides. This is a part of the book that was written by a father in an African church. He says, think that there are antipodes such as walk with their feet against ours. Do they speak with any likelihood? Or is there anyone so foolish as to believe that there are men whose heels are higher than their heads? That things which with us do lie on the ground, that do hang there as well, and that the plants and the trees grow downwards, that the hail and the rain and the snow fall upwards to the earth? And do we admire the hanging of the hanging man? And it's really interesting that this depiction here is of Hindu, which, it's really shocking because I've watched some of the main proponents of the Hinduism and the Brahmandala, or however it is that it's spoken. They always seem to fail to leave that around Mount Meru is the Earth depicted as a square. This isn't anything new. This is what they believed, with the cardinal directions aligned with the celestial axis, splitting these from west. And as you can see, they even have the vault of the sky depicted here as well. Interesting how you don't hear any of that. Now, if we go even to the Russian, this was the Russian Earth depiction. They said that it was like the llamas for now in Russia primitively inhabited China. So they're stating that Russians were from China or vice versa. They arrived on the shores of the Caspian Sea about 1600. And with them, they brought their shapes and their drawings of Mount Sumeru at the center of the world, though the world tree springs the waters from. Sorry, I'm kind of messing this up, but they believed that it was a truncated pyramid, or truncated. Is that how you pronounce that, Lori?
Yeah. Truncated means cut
tourniquet.
off.
Tourniquet.
Well, truncated means to cut off. So the idea is, I think they're probably representing cutting off the top of the pyramid.
Basically, this top is truncated off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. We even have a plate from this cosmology, and again, you see that the celestial sphere is over the flat plane of the realm. Again, they have, I believe, what was closer to an octahedron shape. And then we have the Norseman mythology, and they believe the Earth to be a tree. And then there was even a bit of interesting information before I tie this up about a lost continent called Pan. And you can see this is North America here, and we're looking directly east. There would have been this enormously large continent that supposedly sunk. So if anyone studied the Atlantean pre-Diluvian ages, this is it. This is pre-Atlantean. And what's interesting, everybody, that I have to bring up is look at the map that they used. It's a pretty good map.
Yeah, and it's kind of elongated, rectangular. So I especially like over there where they label, what would that be? I guess it would be Africa is Pan.
Now no. I said that was this continent sunk.
Oh, that's the continent that sunk. Okay.
And what I'm tying it together with would be the spoke of myth that knocked the celestial axis off its tilt. It must have had something to do with the sinking of this Pan. And supposedly all the inhabitants of Earth stretched out upon or from this place. And which is funny is that it is similar to a Hawaiian region, and which ties it back to something that Cammie had said on Globebusters, and I had mocked. And then I found history that, not just Cammie believes that the Earth started to populate from this area. This writer also proposed that as well. They definitely depicted the Earth as an open expanse, a flat area that was endless, which is really interesting. This continent isn't here.
Yeah, it's not there. Well, that's pretty cool. You've been digging in some really old stuff this week.
Well, yeah, I'd like to try to back up some of the reasons why. And they were saying in Pan there were 64 million people were sacrificed with the great traditional catastrophes of Earth. They go through many different resets or wipes.
Yeah.
Which I find very fascinating as well.
Well, historically, that's that's not unusual because there are many different cultural mythologies or passed down oral histories that say that there were civilizations before that were advanced and now they're not here anymore. So obviously there has been more than one catastrophe, and the flood being one of them. But it's it's likely they're the entire surface of Earth as we know it was inhabited previously, maybe with giant trees. We don't know.
Well, yeah, they had a tree cosmology that was proposed that the Earth was
Well,
on.
I think there's a tree cosmology in every
These,
old culture, isn't there?
yeah, you see the size of this continent, eh?
Yeah.
It's compared to it's bigger than South America, right?
Yeah. It's bigger than
Um,
Africa, looks like.
it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And that they called it Pan. And then okay, now I just wanted to touch upon this Robotham issue.
Yeah, I mean, just a little historical background for the, entirety of this channel. One of the things that got us started doing these weekly hangouts was questioning Robotham, and that's attributed originally to Lawrence because he is the penultimate critical thinker, meaning question everything, and especially within the flat Earth dogma. We inherited the so-called flat Earth dogma from those who came before us, from the Flat Earth Society, from Robotham et al., the Cetetic Society, and we're talking about, with regards to Robotham's material, 135 years ago, the Earth is not a globe. And considering all of the advancements that we have had technologically in the last 135 years, we're now equipped to test and retest all of Robotham's theories and hypotheses and so on. And many of them are sort of coming up short with regards to what we can observe today. And one of the most important ones is the fact that Robotham et al. Are responsible for putting out the idea of the circling sun and moon and stars motif of our flat Earth model. And when that is put to question and tested, it comes up short dramatically, in that we're seeing all kinds of evidence that the sun is traveling in a straight line, hence the reason why we are no longer circle Earth proponents. So
Yeah. Can I debunk them?
yeah, well,
Okay, you know
go
what?
ahead, always.
Okay, wait.
Wait. Let me just say two things that occurred this week. One, that we've been putting out non-circular arguments for quite some time, like 9, 10, 12 months, and we've put up with more than enough irrational and argumentative people saying that what we're saying is wrong and that what we're saying is actually crazy. We actually don't understand why we're being faced within the community with the same pushback that we got from Globers when we started talking about flat Earth theories and flat Earth conspiracy to cover up the flat Earth. And from within the community, we're facing an immense amount of cognitive dissonance, calling us stupid and crazy for the ideas and theories that we've come up with. But regardless of that, we've carried on, and we ignore the debunkers because no one's come forth yet to this day to not only debunk what we cumulatively came to, which was the diamond and or Collignon map, which Lawrence discovered after going through systematically every single map that he could find that was supposed to be a projection of the globe, and But regardless of that, people are still continuing to make videos and make presentations saying that things like there's only one pole, and that pole is in the center of Earth, and that everything away from that pole, being the North Pole, is a south direction, ignoring completely anything to do with east and west as cardinal directions. So this week, one of the debunkings that you sort of did was with, who was it, Stinky Cash, who made a video that said that the compass doesn't, I don't even know. I mean, I lost track of Stinky Cash a long, long time ago when we had a falling out over whatever. So why don't you go through what he said, what you said, he said, she said, he said, and tell us how you systematically showed Stinky that he was in error.
Okay, I can do that. One sec. I was going to talk about Robotham. We'll go back to that.
Well, we'll go back to Robotham because this is sort of timely, and we did start out with the idea that we were going to do a continuation of This Week in Flat Earth, and we sort of got off that because we started focusing on specifics like maps and models and so on, but this is a This Week in Flat Earth update, or whatever. Okay, I'm going to present you. Go ahead.
Okay, is it presenting? Can you see it, Lawrence?
Yes, you're presenting. Go ahead.
Okay, so Stinky Cash has proposed that there's no south-pointing compasses on the flat Earth, and it's what he's got here. Everyone is a map showing no east or west, north in the center, and everywhere else is south, which we've all heard argued over and over again. And when he shows the picture here of the globe, let me get it so I can pause it. He has the North Pole pointed precisely to the top of the globe. Just a second, then he had it. Sorry, everyone. And the issue with this is, we run into issues where people are easily going to make us look like fools because, as you know, Lori and Lawrence, we can navigate anywhere using compasses and declinations and the charts that are laid out for us. We're not reinventing the Earth. We're trying to describe it as a motionless plane the way it is.
Okay, just to jump in there for a second, you are going to explain the concept of declination, please.
Okay, so basically, Stinky Cash has the north pointed straight to the celestial axis, the most northerly center mark between east and west of the supposed realm or globe or whatever shape you want to make it. The celestial axis is directly halfway through the sun's path throughout a course of 24 hours or a little thereunder. So what he doesn't understand is to calculate true north, you have to change your compass declination standing from my area, which would be just north of the Great Lakes, right here. My declination is off by 13 degrees. So what you have to do is you have to hold the compass flat and parallel to the ground. You have to sight where your north is, then you have to turn the dial so it's 13 degrees off of your regular position, and then you will know that you're pointing to true north. True north is how we navigate. We don't navigate with the magnetic north. Is everyone with me?
Yeah. The idea of magnetic north and true north are two different things, and yeah, you're showing it with regards to yellow shows true north, which is straight up and down, but magnetic north is based on the so-called tilt of the Earth.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No?
Well, see, that's the interesting thing is...
I mean, I know it's not at the same degree that the so-called celestial tilt is, but magnetic north and true north. True north is on the globe, and magnetic north is
Where the compass points.
where the compass points. The magnetic where the compass points. But
Yes.
that's not what we used to travel by.
Well, if you were, you would be off by 1,000 kilometers if you didn't
Right.
calculate your declination. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because this works on the Mercator or the sinusoidal map the same way. You still have to cite your declination, and this is the same in the north and the south. And for me, the craziest notion that I think I heard all week is that someone is proclaiming that they're north-south pointing compasses. Which direction is this pointing?
South.
South. Okay.
Right.
Everyone can see that at home.
Or we can call it anti-north if you want.
Yeah, it's, and the other problem that this brings into the situation is if Mount Meru is the center of the Robotham circular Earth, why are we shooting why is our compasses pointing 1,000 kilometers away from it?
Okay, so for the sake of discussion, and understanding, let's go back to that previous photo that you were just showing. Okay, from your point, the dot that you're showing, which is roughly around Toronto, Canada.
Yep.
The declination, 13 degrees difference between true north and magnetic north. If you moved your observation point to, say, Russia or Alaska or any other place on the flat plane, the declination changes, correct?
Yes, and we do have
if you were in a straight line between beyond magnetic north and geographical north, it would be a straight line, correct? You wouldn't have any declination.
If you were directly 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
On the
of the two lined up, you wouldn't have any declination. Okay.
If you're on the celestial axis point where the equator, then you would have a zero declination.
Right.
So remember, and it's really simple for everyone at home. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I just have passion, and the answers are here. Like, where's this? If I pull this up, see, it's pretty simple, everyone. This is your axis. Your celestial axis is right here, which is marked 0, and this is your equator, which is also marked 0. This is really simple. So 13 degrees is the amount of degrees between these squares here, and everyone can understand that if you have this map and you have a compass, you can travel anywhere on this surface. Now, I'm saying that's my supposition or my theory. I'm not saying that this is true, that everyone can agree with me, but what I see in the real world is this is true, and the measurements match. So if I jump into the Robotham stuff, really quick if you want, it kind of backs up. So Robotham is saying that it has been urged that the Earth must be a globe because the stars in the southern hemisphere move round the south polar star. So he knew, Robotham knew, in the same way that those of the north revolve around Polaris, or the northern pole star. This is another instance of the sacrifice of truth and denial of evidence of our senses. Like, he's already strawmanned, ad hoc. So it is known as the every observer that the North Pole is the center of the number of constellations which move over the Earth in the circular direction. So I believe that is a false statement. I believe the planets move along the ecliptic path with the sun and the moon and all the other stars, and I don't believe it is anywhere near the Polaris star or the Big Dipper constellation at all. It's 50 degrees south of thereof. So what he's also saying is, so Those nearest to it, as the Great Bear, etc., are always visible in England. So he's saying that you can always see the northern star from the northern map, and you have to move at least 8 degrees below the equator to see the southern stars. And this is where he's saying it. Sir James Clark Ross did not see it until he was at 8 degrees south of the equator at a longitude of 30 degrees west. So he's saying that you had to go down here and then you'd be able to see the southern star. And he's stating, Rowbotham, that I'll just go back to it so I get it right. These are the stars that move towards the east, towards the west, and they are satisfied, but they have not instituted special experiments regardless of results to ascertain the real and absolute movements of the southern constellations. Another thing is certain, that from and within the equator and North Pole star, the constellations Ursa Major and many others can be seen at every meridian as well, whereas in the south he's supposing from the equator, neither the so-called pole star nor the remarkable constellations of the Southern Cross can be seen simultaneously, which this is a complete lie. And, you know, I'd love for people that live below the equator, if they could tell me if they've ever seen Sigma Octantis, you know, and let us know how far north you are. And he's also stating that the pole star is inclined the sweep of the southern arc across the meridian, from their rise in the evening to their setting in the morning. But if the Earth is a globe, Sigma Octantis, a south pole star, and the Southern Cross, and the southern circumpolar constellation, they would all be visible at the same time from every longitude on the same latitude, as in the case of the North. And he's saying that it's not. So I'd just like to bring a quick video into this, because obviously Rowbotham, they didn't have still photography or YouTube with people uploading videos from home. As you can see, this person is clearly showing... okay, this is the wrong video. That's a different one. It's this one. Sorry, everybody. Here we go. This one contains both the northern and the southern stars, and also an image from the equator, if we let it load.
So those who say there is no southern pole star, which has been a bone of contention with flat Earth since I got involved, people have been trying to ignore it. People have been trying to say that everything circles around Polaris, and at the end of the day, we know that based on all the star trails we've seen, that there are definitely two circular paths, one going clockwise, one going counterclockwise, with straight line in the center, and that blows one pole right out of the water.
That sure does. Hopefully this is now sharing.
Yeah, so far you're still screen sharing.
Okay. I don't know why I'm having so much problems with this video.
Okay, so this is
This is Polaris we're looking at, but I want it to go full
Polaris
screen.
in the center. Okay.
I don't know why it won't go full screen. Let me try one more time, because I want everyone to make sure that they can see it, right?
Okay. So start over your screen share. You're still presenting. You just need to get the video to go full screen. Maybe get it to go full screen before you share it.
Okay. I'll do that.
Sometimes it's a little tricky to go back to the video once you're on the live screen of the Hangout, and you know how that goes.
Yeah, it's just being slow. I'm just letting it reload. Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
But it's good evidence. It's got some clear indications of what we see in the sky.
One of the things that I've been doing over the past couple of weeks is going back and revisiting stuff that I was ignoring before, because it was contrary to the circular moving flat Earth map and model, and I ignored it because I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to look at it, and I was with a whole lot of other people who thought this is all fake. This is all stuff that's been inserted into the the dialogue so that it would help to debunk the flat Earth and so on and so forth. Just like the extra long um, flights in the southern hemiplane and all the other anti circle Earth stuff. I was like so many other people. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to look at it, and it annoyed me. But now I find myself confident enough to go back and look at all of these contrarian ideas, specifically because if they're real observations, then we have to make them work with whatever model that we come up with for the flat Earth.
Okay, here we go. And I agree with you 100%, Lori. We have to look at the we can't deny what we see.
Yeah.
Right? We have to be honest in observing what we see around us. So you can see this clearly now, right?
Okay, now you're on full screen and you're presenting.
Excuse me. So the stars that are rotating
these are going clockwise.
This is the southern. Thank you. Yeah, I caught myself before I did. Like I said, I'm not the smartest. I'm not the smartest.
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. It's hard to present this information because until you get really fluent with it, it's a little tough.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest.
It's a lot of new stuff, and none of us are geniuses at all of this, mastered all this stuff yet. So this is the Southern Cross, and it's called the Southern Cross because
it's shaped like a cross. And
there you go.
In the south.
Those 4 stars stay in that shape, in that formation all the time, and they turn.
As it circles around Polaris.
Right.
Sorry, as it circles around Sigma Octanus.
Sigma Octanus, right.
Which, for the record, is an invisible anti-North Polaris.
Right.
If everyone understands. So with Polaris, with a positive or negative, you have one has 1 and one has nothing, or -1 to negate the one in the other end of the so-called heavens. So what we can tell is that it travels around the Sigma Octanus region of the sky in a clockwise fashion, the same as the Big Dipper. And this is observed from everybody in the southern side of the Earth, the southern half. Anything below the 0 equator mark sees this in the sky looking south. As you can see, many flags, Brazilian, British, they all show this. As you can see, it's rotating and it's moving. Now, I don't know if that's a stellarium footage, but I know John LeBon was quick to produce amateur footage of this, and I believe it was genuine footage of the stars circling around Sigma Octanus. Now we can move to the north, and we can all observe when we're looking north from the north that the Big Dipper spins. Oh no, we're still in the south. This one's all the south. Okay. The Pointer Sisters is how you identify the Southern Cross. You connect them in the sky looking south, and you move to the center, the same way that you do with the Big Dipper. I don't know if anyone is with me there.
So the idea here is that Sigma Octanus is not like Polaris in that we see Polaris as a fixed spot star in the sky, whereas Sigma Octanus is more an imaginary star, but it is the hub of the circle of the spin of the southern constellations. Is that correct?
It would be the negative or the anti-North Pole.
Okay.
Right. So with Polaris, we definitely see a star in the center, whereas the southern one, it's an emptiness. Well, the only way I can explain it would be that it's the anti of the Polaris.
Right. In other words, the circle is still happening. We just don't have an anti-Polaris to show for it.
And as you can see, anyone from the north and quite a bit further south of the equator, can observe, looking north, that this Big Dipper, which I call it, Ursa Major, travels counterclockwise around Polaris. Now, both Sigma Octantis and Polaris, these are all of the fixed stars of heaven. So the entire star trail video that I showed you with the Southern Cross and this one are what we call the fixed stars, because they always do the same thing, day in, day out, until eternity, right? Are you with me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is, I know some people are going, oh, this is fake, but there's tons of amateur footage. I've been waiting for a YouTuber by the name of Matrix Decode to put out some amazing film that he's filmed. And the other thing, Lori, that I wanted to bring up is, at what declination or angle does this star trail actually meet your eye?
At what declination does this star trail meet your eye?
Or angle?
That's an interesting question. I'm not really sure I understand what answer you're looking for. Are you talking about the 23.4 degree angle?
Nope. I'm just
okay.
Just saying, when you look at this picture on the screen,
Okay.
where would you assume this circle is happening relative to you?
Eye level.
Okay, eye level, but I mean, for me, I'll just say it. It looks
You
like
mean like as its degree above the horizon?
It's perpendicular. It's forming an almost 90-degree angle to my eye line. It looks like a wall tilted towards me. That's what I see. I don't see stars rotating parallel to my, like as they would on a spinning ball or the AE model. They're both the same. The stars are rotating like this down to the ground.
Okay.
For me, it's just more proof of a roof, a vault,
a
an
ceiling.
angle.
Okay.
The shape of the heavens. I don't see a dome at all.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I see what you're talking about. What you see, and I agree, because there seems to be a flat alignment to them versus a depth alignment. A depth of field, I guess you would call it.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, completely.
In other words, there's a certain amount of space between us and the stars that is empty of stars. So at some point, the ceiling begins.
Well, and then again, when Robotham was proposing that the stars, this image right here, would actually work well to suit his theory, but unfortunately, this one here doesn't, because we can clearly see that the trails are curving the opposite direction, right? You can see if this is Polaris over here, where my pointer is. All of these, they're supposed to umbrella outwards. I believe it was Antonio Subarats that stated you could spin an umbrella with the lights around the outside, and this is definitely not what we see. We see two poles in the sky, spinning around each other. I hope everybody is with us on this. I don't know where that.
Okay, I have something that I'd like to also share. Let me see. Okay, am I presenting?
Yep.
Okay.
Full screen.
So I got an email this last night or this morning from one of our somebody that's been viewing our shows, our hangouts, for quite some time, and sometimes people get really excited and share when they see that someone's been won over, I guess, for lack of another way to put it. And this is Planet Veritas, and they were doing a hangout. It's let's see, a couple hours long, and right at about an hour, they were looking at, isn't this Stellarium? Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so they were watching, and it suddenly dawned on them, hey, 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 look at look at what's happening in the sky, okay? And they were watching this clockwise movement of the stars in the southern hemiplane, and it kind of dawned on them that there's two different directions going on here, clockwise versus counterclockwise, and it was sort of, you know, I don't want to actually play it or listen to it or anything, but anybody that wants to has now seen the channel and the name of the video, so you're certainly welcome to go there and look at it after. But it was sent to me, started up a little after an hour, and you know, you could follow along with the comment or with the dialogue in the video and just sort of go, wow, you got their sort of wow factor moment when they realized, how can the stars be spinning in two different directions, north and south of the equator, with only one pole? So it's sort of starting to happen naturally that people are sort of getting it, and they're coming upon it naturally. They're just sort of accidentally, on purpose, falling into the reality of what they're seeing, and they're unable to ignore it anymore.
So can I show another clip, Lori?
Sure.
So
and then I want to see what Lawrence has been up to, and you know, bring him into chat for a minute, and then we'll go forward. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just do it really quick. It just ties off again. So what we're viewing here, when we see the stars rising to our left, we know that we're in the south looking north. And we know that we're close to the equator because we can see the stars moving in a straight line. This is the celestial equator. These are the fixed stars. And I believe it's part of the vault of the ceiling of heaven, or the sky. We don't have to call it these big names. There's the south, the north, the east, and the west. And it's really simple. We don't need to see all these words. They got hemisphere and plane, and like it's the same thing that Robotham was peddling. The stars in the south to the southeast move to the north to the northwest at the northeast end of the gate, to the south to the southeast. And this is what you get, Lori, and it's absolutely ridiculous and benign to continue to talk like that. We can see the stars moving in a straight line here, and it's observable from all over the earth, as well as this is the southern crux, and in the beginning I believe he had this is Polaris and the north side of the earth, and that's it. I'll stop now, and that's.
Well, I mean, you know, again, there's no reason to stop there, because the reality is that as soon as you stop ignoring reality, then, and you allow the observations to just enter your head and take it in, then your own logic, your own, you know, orientation will start to tell you what you're seeing, and it will automatically negate anything that has been put into your head, just like when you became a flat earther to begin with, and the few things here or there that captivated you, that clicked, but then you started joining groups and watching YouTube videos, and then people started telling you what you're seeing and telling you what you know, and filling you full of dogma, specifically based on the whole Robotham model, the circle Earth Robotham model. And then, of course, you know, you'll have people who are coming at you from different religious dogma standpoints, who will say, well, this is what the Bible says about this, and this is what the Bible says about that. you don't really have to listen to what they say it says. You need to read it for yourself if you care to. And if you don't care to, then look at when new observations hit you in the face, then say, that doesn't actually work with that circling thing that everybody keeps repeating. So leave it up to your own intuition and your own heart, heartfelt observation, and then you decide from there. Just like watching those, Robert from Planet Veritas, it sort of dawned on him, something ain't right about this.
Well, and you know what was funny, Lori? If you could see my screen.
Sure.
They were looking westerly in the south, and they were saying that the star trails seemed to dip. And, what I wanted to jump in, I was just listening because I found it fascinating that they were discussing this. All I wanted to say was if they could have calculated the angle of the dip, they would have known what latitude they were relative to the proposed maps that we have working.
Right. Well, it's different watching star trails. It's different watching star trails and watching this stellarium. And that's not it.
Yeah, if people want to deny the fact that there's
because they have the constellations, it's a Mickey Mouse version, but there are the stars that make up the constellations or the groupings of stars that people use to navigate back in the day and to understand what's going around in the sky. And so when you look at this and you see the movement, I do believe that center point right here is supposed to be what, Sigma Octanus?
Where are you sharing, or?
Oh, am I not?
Well, I didn't. I don't know.
Hold on, let me see if I am. Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Let me go big. I'm gonna go full screen. Okay, can you see that now?
Yep.
Okay, so here's Ursa Minor. Here's Draco. Here's different Cassiopeia. Different stars that make up these constellations that we're used to looking at. And without those, somebody somewhere along the way hooked them all together and named them something. And so we just have gone by that since then. But can you see the north? I don't even know what it is. Is that this cross with the circle in the center? What is this representing? Because I don't go on this site very often. Can you say what that is?
If it's in the upper left, that's just
no. It's in the center.
Well, that's just a marker. It's clicked on the center.
Okay.
Of the sky.
Okay. So that's what determines the movement of the star fields.
Yeah. I could bring up Stellarium and give you a rundown, but I think you got it.
Okay. So the idea is that sooner or later, when you look at and compare the differences between star trails is what I'm getting at. Star trails are based on photographs that are taken every so many seconds and then put together in a film that shows you a time-lapse photography version of what the sky is doing. Stellarium, on the other hand, is actually watching. It's based on sort of sped up real time, right? It's not star trails. It's a different thing you're looking at. But the idea is to look at constellations in the southern half of the sky versus the northern half of the sky.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I was trying to say about that.
Well, the fixed stars, the ones that you were talking about, they are the ones that we make star trails with.
Right.
And the 7 wandering lights in the sky make up the wandering planets that we'll call, and the sun and the moon. And
Right.
they move on their own different path along the ecliptic. Can you see the screen?
You're just black right now, and then
Okay.
now you have your live.
I'll hang on. I'll reshare this.
Okay.
Is Lawrence with us?
Yeah, he's still
I don't
here.
want to be. I don't want
He's just sitting here all muted, being good,
I don't
waiting
want.
for his cue.
Let me hear rescreen share. Stellarium is really cool to use because we can go back in time or forward in time with it. It's really interesting. Okay, it should be showing now.
Okay, there you go. You're sharing.
Okay, so from Toronto, we can click on the time and we can go into the night. So this is looking south. Sorry, one sec. So as we see in the sky, the planets and the stars, they move across. So the moon is supposedly spinning at a retrograde, or the opposite direction of the Earth. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but it's a little bit. I don't really want to get into that. But as you can see, from where I am, looking south, the stars rise from my left in the east, and they set in the west along what is called the ecliptic. So let me go somewhere else here. Let's go somewhere south. So, okay. So this is what you would see from the south. Try and unclick this. Thank you. Okay. Click this. Sorry. So now we're going to see the same effect, except it's reversed. It's the same kind of idea that if you're on the Earth and you're looking north, you're going to see it's the same as the Coriolis effect that I meant. You see the stars moving in a clockwise fashion. Stupid chart.
Yeah, let's talk about that since you brought up that term when you get done looking around here. Is Coriolis effect, because that's another one of those. There's just all kinds of these hot button issues that have been avoided and argued to the death. And name calling starts, and anytime flat earthers get into a heated debate contest with globe believers, and the globe believers automatically throw down their top 5 debunking terms, and the flat earthers don't want to hear it because they think they don't actually have an answer for this, so they consider it their weak point. Well, sooner or later we're going to have to get an answer to these things because they're not going to go away. So avoiding the issue is really not beneficial to anyone.
No, I agree. We have to look at all the... so basically, if you imagine in the sky, there's a giant river that's flowing from east to west. And looking south, you're going to see, basically, if you remember as a kid, if you had one of those old pedal cars, you know how when you turn the pedals, both wheels would turn together?
Right.
So imagine the celestial axis connecting to the two. This is the south, and the Polaris in the north, and it's spinning. But when you turn around and you face the opposite direction towards the north, right? Just like the wheel, it's still going to be spinning in the same direction, which is now going to be the opposite direction that you're looking. See how stars have now begun to
go the other way.
That's I don't know what
yeah, you can't ignore this. I mean, you just cannot ignore this. And it isn't just because you're facing south or facing north. They literally are.
Yeah.
They literally are. When you're standing in the middle and look this way or look that way, they're going in 2 different directions. There's no ignoring that.
Well, no, they're going in the same direction.
Well, they're going in the same direction, but they look like they're going in separate, opposite directions.
Yeah, when looking north, everything is going from right to left, and when looking south, everything is going from left to right.
And then if you are in the south looking north or the north looking south.
Okay, I can go back somewhere north.
Okay.
Let's go to Greenland. And we'll see.
That's pretty far north.
Okay, so then we go through our night again.
Okay.
This is looking south.
Okay.
As you can see, the stars are... I don't know why this stupid star chart keeps coming up. I got it selected down below somewhere. Sorry, everyone. I'll just show the stars anyways. We'll forget about the chart there.
Yeah, who cares? Let's just ignore it off to the side there.
So as you can see, the stars are moving. So in the north, looking south, we're looking at the celestial equator.
Mm-hmm.
And the ecliptic. It moves from our left to our right in the north. So when we turn around and we look north from the north, we're going to observe the stars moving counterclockwise from our right to our left again. Or, sorry, from our left to our right. You see?
Yeah.
And this is observed all over the face of the Earth. There's no way we can... So again, okay, now let's go on the map and let's go somewhere closer to the equator. Let's check that. So now when we look to the west, okay, let's look to the east. So this is where everything rises.
Right.
And you know, I'd like to see if we're lying or we're trying to hide Robotham's proofs. Please, would somebody explain to me why this matches the star trails and clearly shows, okay, everyone can see the stars rising,
Coming
right?
straight up from the ground to the sky.
Okay, so that's lined up with the celestial equator. Let's look west.
Right.
So we look west. Okay, here we go. And we're going to see the stars coming over our heads and setting directly in front of us.
Correct.
And these are the fixed stars. So now that we're at the equator, okay, I'll just quickly do one more.
And there's no reason why this website would fake the direction the stars are going, because everybody on the ground would be going, wait, this is not what I see. So they're showing you what you see.
So yeah, from the south, looking west, we're going to see the stars continuing to spin around the Southern Cross. See, they're going downwards and south. So remember, we're in the south. Now we're looking
in the south, looking west.
South.
The south, looking south. Okay.
You see the stars doing a clockwise motion.
Right.
Around Sigma Octantis.
Right.
Which is unfortunate.
It's the same reason why those in the south see the moon what appears to be upside down from what people in the north see it, the face. Same reason.
Yes.
Oh, look at that fanciness with all of the...
You know what, I don't really like the grid.
Yeah.
But the constellations are interesting to look at.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, this is one of those things that every individual watching needs to go on Stellarium and check it out for themselves. Look around, see what you see. Don't take our word for anything. Do your own research. This is the kind of way that you learn the same things that we're learning and that anybody else that's taken the time to look will learn. And then you can be able to argue your point to anyone based on something you've seen and learned for yourself. There's no substitute, actually. You can watch 15,000 flat earth videos, but if they're also showing you the same thing, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, but it's all the same thing and it's not true, then all you're doing is you're getting brainwashed. So to keep from getting brainwashed, you know, it's okay, go watch videos, but check out what they say and verify it for yourself, and then, you know, you're not going to be considered a flat earth cult member.
Well, yeah, you got to verify what people are trying to sell you, right?
Because there's a whole lot of people out there that are, more concerned about selling books and selling um, ads on their website and ads on their YouTube channels than they are telling you the truth.
Well, as you can see, we can't see Polaris yet because we are still a considerably amount south of the equator where I am depicting, and we're looking north. So basically, if I go back to the map, hopefully this last little bit of rinse and repeat might set in with other people the way it has for me. Again, I've been questioned and said, I'm just a regular person, and I don't proclaim to know more than anyone else. I'm just sharing with everybody what I found, what my hobbies are, and that's it, So
Right.
So again,
Same here.
We're looking north, and we're a little bit more north of the equator, and as you can see, the concentric circle in the north is getting higher on the horizon as we move north.
Right.
So continuing on the path, because this is the last little bit that ties in. If we go up, let's say here now, ties it all together, looking north. Now we're starting to see definitely this Polaris and everything that's spinning around. We can see.
And we're seeing the counterclockwise position.
That's right.
Rotation. Yeah.
So when I turn around and look south, so here's your ecliptic. Oh, we don't need the Lord Stephen fake.
Curvature.
As you can see, here's your ecliptic path through the sky that the sun takes. Right, Lori? That we've been explaining on its 3.4 degrees. There's the moon reversing in fake reality. See, I'm not proclaiming the ball has everything.
Let me ask you a question here. We see the numbers, plus 190, plus 200, plus 210. What are those representing? Up at the top of the video, up at the top of Stellarium, we see 190, plus 190, plus 200. The lines, the grid lines are marked. Can you see that? You're pointing at 220 degrees. Okay. What is that? What is that representing off of Polaris?
Yeah, the celestial grid off the axis. It's the same as the terrestrial grid, but they depict it in the same baloney lies that they do the globe, right?
Okay.
So, okay, which way are we looking? Yeah, we're looking east.
We're looking east.
Remember, we were gonna.
And we're in the north.
This is in the generally north, around the Tropic of Cancer.
Okay.
And you can see.
So the synopsis is, just so we can get this and move on to different things. When you are in the north of the equator, looking north, the sky is going counterclockwise. The celestial stars and the path of the stars and everything are going counterclockwise. If you turn around and you look south, they're going to look like they're going clockwise.
That's right.
But they're all going in the same direction.
West.
Together. West. From east to west.
That's right. Everything travels.
And the idea of having two poles is that the celestial equator, which is this in alignment with the terrestrial equator, meaning the equator on Earth, those two lines, center lines, the one in the sky and the one on the ground, are parallel to each other. And they travel in the same direction, cross from east to west. Correct?
Yep, you're right.
Okay. All right. So let's talk to Lonely Lawrence for a few minutes and see what he's up to and catch up.
Okay.
I'm gonna unmute. You have to unmute yourself, Lawrence, now.
I'm unmuted, yeah. So I find it quite bizarre that when you talk to Globers and you say to them, please tell me how, if everybody is living on the surface of a ball, How can everybody stand upright when you could not get a model and show it that way? You know, some people are going to be standing upright on the very top, and those on the bottom are going to be upside down, and those at the side are going to be stood out at 90 degrees. And of course, flat earthers say that is nonsense, and it is nonsense. But when it comes to curvature, the flat earthers always work on the basis that everywhere is up. So there you have the globe with the North Pole at the top, and all curvature experiments, when they do the experiment, they assume wherever you are, so if it was where you are, Laurie, in Sarasota, yeah, all they do is they tilt the ball up so that Sarasota is bang at the top, and then they do the math based on this place now being at the top to make it at the top of the map, top of the ball, to give the lowest possible amount of fall in elevation. So that is a bit of a problem there, because, you know, flat earthers argue one thing to say it's impossible for everybody to stand upright on the ball, but on the other hand, when they come to do the maths, they work on the same theories as the globers. So let's imagine if they're going to do that, then you've got to follow it through. So let's say that we were looking at your place in Sarasota. There it is there. So we turn the ball up so that you're at the top. Okay, now you're wanting to do curvature experiments there. And people talk about these humps of water. Well, if you're at the very top of the ball, everywhere you look is down. There is no humps of water. Everything is falling away from you, which renders all curvature experiments meaningless, because you should, if you're at the top of the ball, then you should be able to see thousands of miles, because you're going to get an extended horizon if we were on a ball, which we're not. So the whole thing is a joke, and I think, you see, all the flat earthers are happy to talk till the cows come home about curvature and argue the toss about the maths and the calculations and waste a great deal of time about it. But the whole thing's meaningless, because if we were on a ball, then you have to look at where you are on the ball. You're going to have to assume some kind of orientation before you start. But let's put the North Pole at the top. If you're at the equator, you stood out at 90 degrees. Your reality says you're not. You're stood upright. Wherever you are, you stood upright. So that is the biggest debunking of the globe. And all curvature experiments are a complete waste of time, because we know there's no curvature, and you won't be able to see any anyway. There will be no obstacles in your path if you're working on the basis that everywhere is up.
If Lawrence, so I could ask you a question, Lawrence.
Sure, mate.
If I was to dig anywhere on Earth south, like I was told as a child that if I kept digging, ooh.
Yeah, let me just cut in here for a second. I've already lost power once, and I'm surprised I'm actually even still on this hangout, because thankfully I have a good, whatever they call the UPC power saving thing. But yeah, that was thunder. We're under some pretty severe storm weather here, so if you lose me, carry on, and I'll be back when I can get back on.
If it crashes, we'll just pick it up whenever then. 'Cause you have 15 minutes if you do go down.
Okay.
So basically, what I was going to say before the beautiful interruption, I love know thunder.
You love thunder. I meant to mute, but I'm sorry.
And where you live in Sarasota, I have to say, it storms every day.
Every day. This is storm season, but we're under some sort of hurricane-ish type weather right now, and I was a little tentative about trying to even do this tonight because of the frequent power outages that we have because of it, but carry on, and that's how it goes.
I appreciate you letting me share this knowledge and information I found. So Lawrence, basically what I was stating was, if I was to dig a hole, like they said, I would end up in China. Suffice it to say, if you were to start digging on the opposed side of the spherical ball, we would then pass each other at the equator upside down and perpendicular to each other. So at what point do we turn the opposite direction?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, and the whole thing is a joke, you know, and that is, you know, there shouldn't be any arguments between flat earthers and ball earthers, because common sense tells you that we cannot possibly be on a ball, because wherever you stand on the earth, you're upright. And the only way that could happen is on a plane, and no other way. You know, there is no other explanation for it. It is totally impossible on a ball. And the ball earthers argument, you say, oh yeah, but it's so big. It doesn't matter how big it is. If you're on a ball, you've still got the angles of a ball. So wherever you are on the ball, you can magnify the size 1,000 times. The angle will still be the same. It's not going to change, the angle at where you're standing. So that is the biggest debunking of the globe. It's impossible, because we can all stand upright. And going back to, you know, these circular maps with North Pole in the centre, we've had Pookie Word. Is it Pookie Word? He's put out a video about the star trails in the last 24 hours, and again, he is assuming that the North Pole is at the centre, which it isn't. But if it was, if you work on the hub and spoke principle, which is what all industry does, you know, if you're a carrier of parcels or mail, they all work on the hub and spoke. And if the North Pole was truly the centre of the flat Earth, then there would be a major international airport there, because it will be a central point for all points on Earth. And they would build an out. They'd even build one in the ocean there to fly people in and out, because you know, it will be the most efficient way to get from A to B. The other thing that we need to talk about on the maps is that you know, we have all the channels saying they're coming up with the maps, but they don't seem to be producing any maps. They just talk about it and keep saying it's not ready. Well, I've got news for them. They will not be able to make a map that works without having the did you put that on? Without having the fourth dimension, or Pac-Man, if you want to call it Pac-Man. Everybody understands Pac-Man. It's impossible to have a map without Pac-Man, because there are shortcuts on the globe. Everybody knows there's shortcuts on the globe. You can fly from the west coast of America to Japan, which is the short route, and you can fly the other way, which is the long route. You try doing that on you know, on a map with ice walls on it, it's not going to happen, because you can't fly off the side of the map. We all know you can in reality, because the globe had to mirror what we experience on this plane. The only thing that's different is that it's you know, it's a different shape, but everything else fits. They made it fit, you know, and they built all the science around it so it fits. So any map that doesn't have Pac-Man, it's not going to fit. It's not going to work. And any map that has the North Pole at the centre, it's going to be too big. A centre pole map of our plane is going to be 2.5 times bigger than the surface area of the globe. And we know the surface area of the globe is pretty accurate, because we've got all the you know, everything's owned apart from Antarctica. And all the continents have been mapped out, and the square mileages are all pretty accurate, you know, and they're all on Google Maps anyway. So we know the dimensions of the globe are correct. They're just laid out in a different sort of way. So maps with a North Pole in the centre are simply a non-starter. They will not work. You can put as many magnetic fields in as you like. It's not going to change the fact that the distance is going to be too big.
I completely agree with you, Lawrence. And you know what's interesting is I found some Hindu teachings that express. I don't know if I'm presenting. I wanted to share this with you, Lawrence.
You know,
is it too small on the screen though?
I can read it.
So basically the same symbolism apparent with the Vatu Praro. We'd have to get Mark Knight on here to read these Hindu words, because he seems to be. They have the Earth and the cycles depicted as. What happened?
Well, I don't know. You seem to be buffering a lot, and I don't know if that's you or if that's me. So I just wanted to
I,
say that you are, and with to me anyway. But go ahead, keep going, and we'll see if it catches up.
yeah, it sounded clear from my end. I don't know
All
about
right, you're still you're
Lori's.
still presenting. Go ahead. It's probably me. My bad.
The interesting things about the Bhagavatam or the stupa and the mandala, the way that they express basically a circle inscribed within a square drawn on the ground with colored powder and outlined with threads, or for convenience, drawn as painting a cloth or a paper. Basically, what they state here is that the sun traveling from east to west with the cardinal directions weaves a fabric of time. Now, I know free energy has touched upon this. I just wanted to put a little bit extra bit of understanding here, and the symbolisms with the 8 by 8, the 64 divisions, and the squaring is really important with understanding how time and the fourth dimension works, right? The fourth dimension, we have up, down, left, and right, or you could say the breadth or the leaven that filled the entire lump was basically four-dimensional. In the Bible is how they try to explain the fourth dimension. And I really find it fascinating, and I really don't understand how anyone could be studying this Hinduism and not come upon this knowledge. Basically, what it's showing in this diagram here is the two weaving actions that the sun and the moon create, and basically the fourth dimension of time. Basically, the sun's light is traveling outwards and is measured north and south to infinity, and then it is placed throughout our realm, basically with heaven above and the earth below, as it winds its way and weaves the fabric of time. And this is where we sometimes get some of these terminologies. Now you can see this symbol here. This is a fourth dimensional cross pointer, and basically it's showing that the same weaving that's happening laterally in our realm, including with the stars, is also happening horizontally. Okay, so I guess that's just the last little bit I wanted to share. And I guess, should I talk about the guest?
Yeah, go ahead because we were supposed to have a special guest or surprise guest, and I had put that in the title and the information, but I didn't say the name because I didn't want to be made to be a goofball because somebody wouldn't show up. So,
Well,
um,
you know, well, I don't really blame them, Lori. I guess if everyone doesn't follow my channel or your channel, which they should if they're here listening live, I put out a video where I basically lost my temper and called Jaron from Jaronism an idiot. And, I just like to formally apologize for losing my, like, I know Lori gets it, but I don't think other people understand the amount of sheer trolling that takes place. When you're trying to put out anything that's contrary to the push narrative, you are going to get attacked. So I
right.
basically, I showed Jaron that the shadow moves straight, and the fact that they need 6 Pac-Mans to create their AE circling sun map, because the south sets in the south in its winter solstice, in its summer solstice, and it's traveling 180 degrees opposed to the circling Gleason's right-handed curve to the motions of the sun. And, Jaron, hopefully you're doing some tests and we can continue to work together. I know I just lastly will end this by stating that I saw the Reds rhetoric Jaronism stuff, so I figured maybe if I let my emotions go, I might get his attention, and I might have gone a bit too far, and I apologize. And I'm sorry, Lori, and everyone else.
Well, let me just say this. This has been an ongoing tit for tat for quite some time, for months and months, and uh, we've gone along our own path, putting out whatever we believe has been realistic research. Lawrence and I started this thing a year ago, and we started talking about maps and models that didn't, this AE map and model, and it didn't work, and we were pretty much alone. Free energy was doing some square earth stuff. Darren Nesbitt was doing some square earth stuff. And quite a few other people came along as we continued the conversation and became square earth or diamond earth proponents as well. But as the time has gone by, it's become, you know, an insider sort of sparring match, if you will, and people calling each other stupid and calling each other names and so on. But at the end of the day, we have continued to add to our research. We have continued to support our hypothesis, which is nothing but a culmination of all of the evidence that we have been finding that leads us in this direction. A hypothesis comes about when you start to gather enough data that points you in a certain direction. It doesn't come about when you go, well, this is what I'd like to think. So now I'm going to go around and I'm going to gather as many evidentiary things as I can find to support what I want it to be. Okay? I want to believe in Santa Claus, so I'm going to go around and I'm going to find supporting evidence. I'm going to put cookies out on Christmas Eve and cookies and milk, and in the morning when I wake up, when the cookies and milk are gone, I'm going to assume that Santa Claus visited and drank the cookies and milk. I mean, what else? Only to find out years later that it was Mom and Dad that drank the cookies and milk or ate the cookies and milk, and it wasn't Santa Claus after all. But all that while, it sure did, you know, all the evidence sure did look like his presents were under the tree and so on and so forth. So sadly, people get emotional about the frustration part of not being heard and not being understood. And for someone to disregard you out of hand and say, you're stupid, your research is stupid, you guys are stupid, without actually investigating the research in and of itself, just adds to the frustration. And so we believe that the Circle Earth map and model were implanted into the Flat Earth movement, and that they are not real, and that this is not a realistic interpretation of Earth. And we feel like we have collected enough evidence of that along the way. So some reason or another, you know, people start calling each other out and so on. We called them out because they wouldn't listen to us. They call us out because they thought we're stupid. And at the end of the day, nobody wins. And so I thought we had a truce. You know, Bob Knodel came on Globebuster's show a few weeks ago and said that he had sent a letter of apology, which I never received, but I'm going to take his word for it. And that, you know, he was sorry that he called me and Lawrence, and I'm not sure if I remember that he said anything about Ronnie, but that he called me and Lawrence liars and shills and so on and so forth on their show. And it was on the map show where they were supposed to come out with a brand new map and a model based on it, which never happened. And yeah, we've made a couple of remarks about, like, well, where's the map? What happened to the map? But we didn't so much so that it's like, okay, well, we'll give you time and you guys keep working on it. But in the meantime, what the hell are you doing besting on us all the time? Work on your own map, okay? And so last week on Globebusters, Jaron took off again and ran his mouth that we're stupid and that you know, blah blah, always have to throw down Pac-Man as if that stings or hurts us in some way, which it doesn't. So so Ronnie made a video and yeah, he was a little pissed off and he called him an idiot. But at the same time, in the video, it clearly states why we support what we support and why we think what we think, and you know, no amount of naysaying and pretend like debunking is going to change that. in the meantime, Jaron said that he would come on and discuss this all with us tonight. But as it turns out, he backed out for whatever reason, and I'm sure he'll have one.
I hope he's watching at least.
Yeah, I hope he is, because the offer still stands. You know, maybe we can laugh and call each other idiots to each other's faces, and maybe that will help. I don't know. It certainly can't hurt at this point. But you know, unless you have something, Jaron or anyone else, the challenge still stands. Unless you have something to downright show us where we're wrong in our thinking and our research is wrong and our observations are wrong, then you're welcome. You, Jaron, anybody, don't care who it is, contact me. I will send you a link. We'll have you come on, and you can show us where we're wrong. And, you know, we'll laugh and call each other idiots. I don't care. But at the end of the day, it's really about the truth, and it's really about the information, and it isn't about personalities or any of these other things. So, Jaron, you're still welcome. If you're listening, you know, it's not an olive branch. It's just, it is what it is. You know, consider it, we're all on the street and hanging out, and, you know, you're on one side of the street and we're on the other. No cars are coming, so you can walk over here and hang out with us, and we don't have any knives or guns or weapons of any kind. Words are not weapons. So there's that. And same to you, Bob Nodal, who loves to instigate Jaron into going off on these rants. And yes, I just went off on a rant, but until the day comes that everybody is agreeing to move forward on research and give up on a successfully doomed and debunked map and model, which y'all are always ready to say, we don't actually, you know, support this as the model, but it's the closest thing we have. Well, if the closest thing we have is a dinghy, and right out there is a big battleship, and we can use the dinghy to get to the battleship to fight the New World Order and those assholes, then, you know, let's use the dinghy for the best that we can use it for, instead of poking holes in it at the shoreline and sinking it and not being able to use anything. So I don't know if that analogy means anything to anybody, but, you know, it's the best I have at the moment. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, Flat Earth's been going a couple of years now, and it has stagnated because everybody's focusing on this false model, and they're telling newcomers about it. And the main channel of information is YouTube and on Facebook, and 95% of the information coming out through these channels is false. So we can't move forward until we get people, you know, we're not saying adopt our model. It's not our model, it's just one that we found that best mirrors what we see. But you can't.
Well, we actually don't have a model, do we, Lawrence?
No,
there is
no
model.
But before we can actually present this to mainstream, we need a model that mirrors reality that we can all agree on. And so instead of people focusing their attention on watching endless YouTubes, you know, research is needed. We need more people out there actually researching, looking at angles of light and trying to find out what is above us and how it all fits together, and what's happening with the sun, what it's shining through, how it's causing the sun to be seen in places it shouldn't. And it'll be a method. It'll be kind of trial and error. But
well,
let's assume that we can eventually put together a model that does mirror reality, that we can all put our weight behind. Then is the time to actually have some direct flat Earth action. So rather than flat Earthers just talking to each other about it, which is what we're all effectively doing now, but you've got flat Earthers watching flat Earth channels. You might get a few Globers watching, but it's primarily flat Earthers watching flat Earthers, and the information isn't going out beyond that. And there are lots of inexpensive ways that you could do that. So, most flat earthers spend a few hours a day looking at stuff and talking about stuff and going on hangouts and getting their popcorn out and meeting their new mates in their flat earth cult, which is what it effectively is. If that time was spent actually out on the streets, spend a couple of hours, do you good, get out, get some fresh air. Let's say there's not that many flat earthers. Let's say there was 5,000. I doubt whether there's much more than 5,000 flat earthers who were tuning into stuff regularly every day and looking at stuff. If you got 5,000 flat earthers and each of those 5,000 printed 10,000 business cards with a YouTube channel and flat earth details on, so where they can find information out, and went round in their locality, just go around every bar, hairdressing salon, supermarkets, where people congregate, stick them on notice, but leave them everywhere. You can probably get 10,000 business cards done at a price that most people can afford. And if you get 5,000 people doing 10,000 business cards, that's 50 million. And 50 million business cards, you're going to get an awful lot of new flat earthers out of that. Even if it was 1/10 of 1%, that's going to be a sizable number. And I think that's where we need to channel our efforts once we've got this new model, is to get out on the streets and bring it about, because it's all right having the flat earth model, but if it's not going to bring about any change, which is what we ultimately want from it, then it's going to remain as a minority group just chatting to each other, which doesn't take us any further forward.
Thanks, Lawrence. Ronnie, there's a question in the chat that I just copied in our chat, that I just copied off the chat.
Okay.
And it says, first, who has proven that the stars above circle two different central stars? Proven.
Okay, I got a video ready.
What does it take to say it's been proven?
I guess that's for someone to admit to themselves that they've seen evidence.
Okay.
Isn't that what proof is? When we observe something that we can't deny because it matches our senses?
Yes. Well, yes.
So this is the star trail footage of the northern side of the Earth. And then we have a star trail from the equator looking north. And then we turn around in the south, and we have star trails here before our very eyes of stars circling around the southern crux. This is it. Do we need more? Is this fake?
No, that's not fake. And so who has proven? The sky has proven it.
Yeah, it's the truth. Like, we can't.
The sky has proven it. Observation of the actual sky has proven it. And in today's world of internet connection, there can easily be a person in Canada, a person in Ecuador, and a person in Australia, all online at the same time, showing their trails of the stars in real time at the exact same moment. Well, not at the exact same moment, because now we're talking about day and night, but within 24 hours of each other, okay? Because obviously one person's going to be in the day and the other person's going to be in the night if you're talking about Canada and Australia. But you get the idea. And if you trust this person with showing you star trails from where they live, and so that you don't have to trust any government-controlled website or a privately controlled website. I don't even know who controls Stellarium. Do we know who owns Stellarium?
Probably NASA, but
probably NASA. Sure.
Whatever. It's a digital representation of what we observe.
Okay.
It's not. You can look up in the sky at any point and verify because there was a video that David Weiss and John Morgile put out where they were supposing that they were seeing the sun from the other side of the plane, and it turned out, I'm not trying to claim credit, but using stellarium, I was able to match the stars in the sky, and I was able to deduce the fact that it was the moon that we were watching of a night star trail footage. The video's still up on my channel, and so if anyone thinks that I'm just talking out of thin air, I've got proof that the stellarium matches what we see, because I went on the date that that star trail was filmed, and I found the moon in the same place that the video had shown, and it's all documented.
Okay. So
what more do people need?
Well, what people need is they need verification from other people, apparently, and it never ceases to amaze me that if someone else says it, and they sound like a technocrat, they sound like an authority figure, and they're very confident in their delivery and so on and so forth. And we know many of these in every walk of life. Most people who kowtow to authority figures, in other words, kneel and obey, which is a big part of what's wrong with the world now anyway, but that's another subject. If you hear somebody say something and you just nod, let it go in, and then turn around and go tell somebody else, you know what I heard, blah, 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 okay? And then that person who never saw or heard person A tell person B, they will go and repeat it as person C to the next person, okay? And nobody along this chain, except for person A, has any verification, checking, fact-checking, anything in the equation here, okay? So I'll show you an example. Lawrence was just talking about real people talking to real people about flat Earth, okay? I was late getting home today to get ready for this broadcast because I was at a client's house, and it was the final day of a very large remodeling project on their home. And it was, you know, one of those things where, whew, we got it done by the deadline, and how happy they were. And they said, you know, have a drink with us to celebrate. So I said, okay. And I said, but I can only stay a couple minutes, and so I'm going to swig down this awesome aged bourbon. But I have to go because I have a broadcast I need to do at 6 o'clock. And they said, well, you know, what do you mean a broadcast? And they don't know that I'm a flat earther, and they don't know anything about flatearthconspiracy.com or any of the, you know, YouTube channel or any of that stuff. To them, I'm an artist and a painter. So so I said, well, you know, I'm going to do a broadcast, a live broadcast every Wednesday at 6 o'clock about, well, it doesn't matter what it's about. Now, this is a paying customer of mine. This is a, you know, roughly $70,000 remodeling contract. So I didn't think it was a good, I haven't been paid yet, my final payment, so I didn't think it might not be a good idea right now to bring up, you know, flat Earth. So anyway, they said, you know, come on, tell us what it's about. So I proceeded to say, I'm a flat Earth believer, and for a couple of years now, I've been researching it, and they were like, what? Blink, blink. And I went on and explained, yeah, the Earth is flat. You don't believe it's a spinning globe? No, I don't. Not only don't believe it's a spinning globe, I don't believe in outer space, and I don't believe in satellites, and I just rattled off 10 things. And I was pretty sure that they were going to start laughing, and that they were going to, you know, kick me out of the house and say, go do your show, you're weird. But they didn't. I guess with the confidence that I have achieved at this point to be able to talk about it and put it out there. Of course, I didn't say we live in a circle with a circling sun and a circling moon, and there's a big ice ring around the outside with the dome plopped over the top of it. There I won't go. But you know what? They didn't ask me, well, what is the model? How big is it? How does flat Earth work? They didn't ask me. What they did was they listened to what I had to say. So I took what I call the flat chat. The flat chat is no longer than 10 or 15 minutes on the first go around. And because at that point they start thinking too much, and you start giving them too much information, and they start to go into information overload, and you will lose them. So I cut it short, and out the door I went. So it isn't at all unusual for someone to talk to other people about flat Earth, but you have to be confident in what it is you're talking about. And I have become so much more confident now that I know that I'm not going to be telling them about some fantasy model, some fantasy map that I haven't seen nor proofed for myself. And I, you know, I don't feel any fear in putting out this information. So let that sink in to anyone who's not confident talking about flat Earth. If you aren't confident about the map and model and the you know, overall picture that you have of what the flat Earth realm means to you, then you're not ready to talk about it. You're not ready to sell it to anyone. So my little dissertation there. All right, so Ronnie, so in 1 week you have made a video to Jaren, and then you made another video to Stinky Cash. How do you feel about having done that? And don't say you're sorry, because I don't think you are. I think it's a level of frustration that we achieve at a certain point when we know that we could be getting so much farther, so much faster, if we were all working together on what is and possibly should be versus what we know isn't true.
Well, you know, to a degree, it's like almost it makes me irate to hear someone say things such as "there's no east or west" or "we don't have any south pointing compasses on the flat Earth." It just, I guess I'm happy that I've been able to understand things and to share them with people. I hate getting the people, oh, you're just calling out others. Well, I'm calling out people who are promoting lies. The truth doesn't need me. It doesn't need anyone. It's just
right.
The truth. This is, and if people don't want to look at these things, I don't know what to say. But I'm trying to think of any of the reasons.
Well,
like
okay, it's similar to the same thing that we just went through about a month ago, I guess, about when we saw no forests on flat Earth. And it was new information to a lot of people. To a lot of people it wasn't. This information's been out for quite some time. But to a lot of people it was brand new information. And to a lot of people it was sort of one of those things that went, you know, I kind of didn't feel right about this or that, and what they called it and what they said it was, like volcanoes or, you know, mesas from volcanic eruptions or basalt towers or whatever, okay? And so we hit upon it and we added it to our repertoire, I guess you would call it, and in a few short weeks, Lawrence has done a U-turn, and he's, you know, decided that maybe they're not trees, that maybe they're giant people, and we've discussed it further. But at the end of the day, does this information lead us to the greater goal? And the greater goal is, in my opinion, you know, overthrowing the control system, the New World Order, cabal, whatever, Illuminati's, whatever your name for them is, I don't care, fill in the blank. But isn't that the objective? There's two objectives going on here. One is a personal awakening. One is a personal growth of feeling like you really understand your world and why you're here and who you are and all that. And then the other is we all know that there's someone or someone's controlling the vertical and the horizontal on the way our world works, and we'd like them to stop it. And many people who got involved in Flat Earth did so because they thought, oh, this is it. You know, used to think it was if we could just prove to everyone that 9/11 was an inside job, that, you know, that would be the catalyst that we could use to overthrow the mean and nasty cabal. And, you know, years and years and years went by, and that didn't happen. And then when Flat Earth came out, a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh, no, no, this is it. This will be the thing that will help awaken everyone. And a couple years have gone by, and it hasn't been, okay? Why hasn't it been? Because I fully believe now that if we were in the same camp with regards, you know, we came from a similar camp where everyone believed we lived on a globe and that it was spinning through space and yada, 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 and evolution and big bangs and all that stuff, okay? And then some of us decided we don't believe that anymore, but now we don't know what we do believe. We don't... Sorry, Lawrence. We don't know what we do believe. We don't know if the, you know, if the Earth is flat and square or flat and triangle or flat and circle, or, you see what I'm saying? So we don't we haven't replaced that which we ditched with something else. And I think that's our failing, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, Ronnie, can you play that Wakey one? Wakey, whatever his name is, not Wakey, the guy who put the short video. Can you just put it on? Because, you know, we need to encourage more people to come out and, you know, 3D modeling is the way forward, I think. And if we can incorporate light into that, so much the better.
The beginning of that is just a little whack, but...
it doesn't matter. It's, you know... Ronnie, are you there, mate?
I mean, I know he may have taken off for a minute. He said he'd be right back.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm getting the video.
Okay. Stick it on because.
It's interesting because you know, the thing that keeps me from getting too frustrated is that fortunately I do have a website where people can contact me, and they can contact me and you guys. I try to pass on the messages to you guys that they send to me to the YouTube channel, you know, message board, and you know, aside from all the creepy trolls and all the unhappy people, Lawrence, I'm going to mute you. You're making too much racket again. Along with the, you know, those that hate on us or anybody Flat Earth, the upside is that there are people who appreciate what we're doing and thank us and give us kudos for continuing the research. So, okay, Ronnie, you got it? Okay,
yeah, we're good.
Well, that's creepy.
I got an eye as an icon too, but it could be seen as many things. It's definitely not Masonic or creepy. It's just his style. So here's the diamond map, Lawrence, and he's sectored it into east, west, north, and south. I don't see north. I guess that would be west, east, south, and I guess this section would be the north. He's got the tropics representing the equator. He's got the light body here and the sun speed, so he's incorporating some of the angles of the way that light bends towards the Earth, not upwards.
Right.
Concave cellular Earth is, in my opinion, a huge psyop.
Okay, so he's got sun spread, sun arc, and what is it? Sun bend. Go back, scan back where you just were, Ronnie, for a second. I didn't read all of it. Okay, light body. So sun arc is the blue line. Sun spread is the yellow line. Okay, I got it. Daylight, nightlight, twilight. Okay. And
yeah,
this is the same summer and winter. Okay, so now he's got the diamond turned on its side. And the equator and the two tropics. And then that's the other side of the map.
so the sun will be going.
Interesting. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's the sun. Okay, I was wondering what the gray point was. Now I get it. Okay.
The sun's ecliptic in the winter in the northern, and he's got it's pretty interesting, the diagrams, I must say. So
Yeah.
and so everyone understands that these would be the celestial axis points. This is where Polaris would be located above, and then down here is where the southern crux spins. They're both going like a wheel this way around here, right?
Right.
So if everyone's with us there, and they're running straight along the equator. And the other thing I wanted to mention that me and Lawrence were discussing, the free energy map and the globe in this diamond shape, the way that you do that is you circle and you cut off the excess. Lawrence, you there?
Yeah, he's muted because he was making too much racket. Hold on.
But great job by Juan Malicki. I hope I'm saying his name right. You know, he's done a good job with just showing a different understanding, a different model.
Yeah, and the good thing is that he gets the measurements and everything and understands how we arrived at him. So or Lawrence did, and so that's interesting that it didn't all fall on deaf ears. Okay.
I got a couple more things before you end.
I've got a bit of news. I've got something that's quite interesting. That you
Okay, go ahead. Ronnie, can you hold a second?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, it's about 6 weeks ago now, I did these, well, it's quinoa, it's not rice experiments, but I got 4 identical jars and put a spoonful of quinoa in each one of them to see whether putting any message on the outside would have any impact on what happens inside. So this one here, it says message to the water. It says, if the earth is a sphere, keep the rice free of mold. And on this one it says message to water, if the earth is flat, keep the rice free of mold. Well, both of them don't have any noticeable mold at the moment, but when you take the top off this one, which says if the earth is a sphere, keep the rice free of mold, this one has, it stinks like shit. It's got the most awful smell. And the one which says if the earth is flat, keep the rice free of mold, it smells as sweet as a nut. So this one stinks of shit, and this one smells quite sweet. So how do you explain that? Yeah.
Very interesting. Neither molded, but phew.
The stink, I can't, you know, if we had a smeller screen, I could put it on the screen and you could smell it, but... you know.
Okay, what about the one, there was another one, you did 4, what were the other 2?
Oh, I did the love, gratitude and thank you. The love and gratitude doesn't have a bad smell. And the I hate you,
oh,
that's starting to go a bit mouldy in the bottom. It's got some reddish type of mould. So I think there is something to it, although it did take an awful long time to get any reaction.
Yeah, has it been 6 weeks already?
Yeah, if you could smell that one about the globe, you know, the Earth being a sphere, it's such a stink, you know, you just couldn't keep it there.
Sorry, you opened that up in your kitchen.
It's conveyed the message to tell us that you know,
very
that we're
interesting.
right. Not that we needed to know it anyway.
Thanks for sharing that. We've been wondering about that.
Yeah,
Last week, I don't think we talked about it at all.
I'm,
You'll
I'm,
have to
I'm,
get
I'm
some incense out or something.
I'm
And
waiting for some of this water to evaporate so I can get a starting crystal, and then I'm going to put a crystal, tie a piece of string to a pencil with the crystal in the bottom and watch it grow. And what that
okay.
proves is that, you know, crystals are like a life form. And if they can assemble
Hmm.
themselves, then, it's like rocks, isn't it? This guy, this mud fossils guy, I've been watching some more of his stuff, and I can't dismiss what he's saying. All these rocks where you can see what, you know, ostensibly could be the blood vessels, the arteries and the veins and the different colours that go with that. I can't dismiss it. There's something to it, and maybe all rocks were at some time in the past a form of life that was either, plants or animals. Who can say? And these obviously rocks don't vibrate at the same frequency, does it? It's probably a very low vibration for a lump of granite, but maybe that's what happens to things over time.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that are continuing to look for photographs and evidence and so on of all the different ideas about what are considered rocks that used to be trees or what have you. So um,
Yeah.
I don't think this information, it's interesting because everybody, when they first watch this, they're either, oh, that's a load of crap, or they're very intrigued and they say it resonates with them. And some people have said life-changing about this information. So it's pretty interesting. And you said a little while ago, Lawrence, that you thought maybe there were like 5,000 flat earthers. I'm I'm baffled by that number, that you still think the that's the number, because um, on a Earth-wide scale, I would say that that's just probably represents the vocal ones, the ones who actually talk about it openly and make videos and are in like flat Earth groups on Facebook and so on. But I don't know. I think
Well,
I still think there's a lot more. But you know what? I did rewatch a video the other day that someone made last year, who said 2016 is going to be the year. This is going to explode flat Earth.
yeah,
And I have been watching the trending numbers, and back along about March or April, this thing just bottomed out. I mean, it was amazing that the actual chart, the graph, uh, according to, the freaks at Google. Where they get these numbers from, or whether they're manipulating them, I don't know. But it has resurged, had a resurgence that has taken place over this summer. But here we are, nearly September, and if it's going to blow up, something better be happening soon.
well, if there were millions of flat earthers, which some people put the things out, then the main channels or the regular channels that broadcast every week, they they would be getting hundreds of thousands of live viewers if there was millions of them, because most flat earthers who are flat earthers, it's not something that they look at once in a while. They look at it every day,
Right,
and if you looked at our show right at the moment now, I doubt very much that there's more than 100 people watching this live.
right.
So, I don't know whether YouTube only picks up those who've got a YouTube channel, or it picks up anybody who's watching it, because most people don't have a YouTube channel, do they? They just look at YouTube. So I
Right.
don't know whether they feature in the statistics for the viewing figures. But
I
if they
I don't
do,
know either, but the number of views by the end of a broadcast of, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours is typically around the same number, no matter how many it says is watching on the screen. And then once the thing stops processing and archives, then the number starts to pick up again. So when you compare who would watch, and people that watch us know that it's going to be on for 2.5, 3 hours, always. And so many tune in for a little while, and then maybe they'll come back and watch the archive version, the parts they missed or whatever. But the chances of people watching 3 hours are really minimal, and it becomes sort of flat Earth entertainment to them at that point, and which is really not what we're about anyway. What we're about is telling people what we've been looking into, what we've been researching, the ideas that we have, and the directions that we have gone into and continuing to go. So with that said, Ronnie, you had something else you wanted to share.
Yeah, I got a couple last things to point out. Am I come through or breaking up?
No, you're doing fine.
Okay. I just have
My
something.
storm has passed, by the way, so maybe we won't have any problem.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully, I'm not just droning and droning. Okay. Let's see. I have so much pride and passion.
You know me, I'd tell you, brother, if you were, right?
I know. I know. That's what good friends do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you would.
Okay.
Are you seeing my
Yeah.
video player?
Yeah, we're seeing your what looks like probably the camps in the desert of the ancient war of something.
Okay, that's not the right image, but that's the layout of the camps in the desert. You're correct, 100%. It's nice and square.
Yeah.
But can you see the all player?
Yeah, I can now. It looks like it's loading. Okay. I can see it.
Let's see why is this.
Maybe you need to make it full screen once you get it playing.
I don't know why it's being fussy. I'll try and unscreen share and try again. It's basically one of those things I'm going to call hidden in plain sight.
Okay.
Basically, just to discuss a couple last topics. One was this day and night. There's this. You can buy this clock now, and it's set from now until the end of time. And what it does is it tells you the sun's position. Let's see if it'll load here. 1 second. It's basically the free energy proposed model. Why is this not coming up? 1 second. And the other thing that I wanted to go ahead.
Technology. It's awesome, and it's a pain in the butt. When it works, it's great, and when it doesn't, it's super frustrating.
Yeah, that's okay. I know all we can do is try our best, right? And
right.
If we get our points across, we do.
Yeah. So what is this representing? This is a tabernacle in the center, I see, which is it's the giant tent. It's flat on the top and sides down, and
yeah, that's right.
And then am I seeing something like light coming out of the end or out of the top, or what is that? It's not an explosion, so I'm assuming it's light. Is that the Holy of Holies supposed to be in there?
Yeah, that's probably the light of the Lord coming, and the smoke, the way that it was depicted in the Torah. It's interesting, though, that the layout was definitely square, which is, I still don't understand how why wouldn't God have instructed them to build a circular camp instead of a square with a cross through it with the celestial axis and the equator, right?
I don't know. the instruction for laying out the camp, it comes from where?
God.
God.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Lord. He commanded them from a cloud. Basically communicated with them, however, telepathically, which, I haven't seen anyone do as of lately, but
No, I haven't either. And that's been one of those problems with the old um, biblical versions and what's going on today. I guess that's why in the 60s they started saying God was dead. It was sort of I guess, a challenge that God didn't seem to speak to anyone anymore.
yeah, I strongly disagree. I think the whole notion was proposed by atheists and people who just want to confuse.
Yeah.
But again, so not only was the Holy of Holies instructed, and the camp layout, but also the temple that Solomon built and all of the other temples and churches, they're all cardinally aligned with the Earth's cardinal directions. And
So what you're saying is this idea of people saying the circle of Earth in the Bible, God looked down on the circle of Earth, the circle of the footstool, and all that. So you're saying that there are as many verses or explanations for Earth as being flat and square as there are references to circle of Earth.
yeah, totally. So I'll touch on that. Can you see the video that's
Yes.
playing? Okay, so
Yes.
this is the first of its kind. This is a live. Hopefully everyone in the audience, or the audience, everyone's seeing on YouTube in the chat. Shout out to the chat. This is the first ever digital representation of the celestial movements, including the sun and the moon and the times and the dates. And this is programmable forever. You talk about hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, that should be something that most Globers. What are they going to think? What are they thinking about? What are how are they representing this as a globe?
Well, if you go ahead if you want to tell yourself that that's.
Geochron.
Yeah, if you want to tell you, this is the first of its kind. It's like a film that runs, and it properly identifies the position of the sun and the movements through the sky. And in my opinion, that's not a globe.
Why does it have? Wonder why it has such a defining line of light and dark. There's no twilight. There's no.
Oh, that's just a setting. You can dial.
Okay.
You can dial it in. This is just an overall. They
Yeah,
upgrade
because it
them.
doesn't go like daytime, nighttime like Antonio Superas did in that silly video.
No, it does the east to the west thing, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and then if you could imagine again, if we're talking about our declination, when we have our compass and we're standing right where this axis is here, we're almost at 0, which is right here. This is the celestial axis. So when you look at north, you were going to have to, north will be pointing here. You'd have to dial it 13 degrees back to find true north. Right? Everyone's with
Okay.
me on that with the
Okay.
compass.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's easier. So the line of the equator would be 0.
Mm-hmm.
This is the north and the south of the Earth and the planets. Lawrence had mentioned that the sun isn't where it's supposed to be, and the sun is. This machine, Lawrence, can predict the sun's movement for eternity. That's what they're saying in the advertisement.
Interesting. So how do they explain that with all the zooming and flying and vortexing and all of that crazy the video we see where the sun's going off this way and then all the planets and all the Earth and everything are following behind it, and it looks really hilarious.
I just think
How are they relating that?
I think the intelligent people, Lori, are just buying this for sheer technical purposes, and
Okay.
they know they don't have to think about where their realm is. They're not like us, because if you do a back history, you see the people designing this. I got to think in my mind that they know maybe that this is possible only on this depiction, right? This is where we
Uh-huh.
have. You remember, Lori? I just wanted to say that everyone here on this map is standing upright and parallel to the face of the Earth. Everything is celestially equated and positioned with the southern stars up here in the north. You could imagine the tent or the roof on top of this shape, right? Everything
Right.
from, and like when you look north from the north, you see the same stars on this flat plane, and when you look south from the south, you see the same stars again. This is another huge blow to the globularists, because this is something that they've stated flat earthers can't do. And we are predicting, showing, graphing, plotting, dating, marking, timing, producing, projecting a model that shows everything over an even, flat, equal plane with four corners, the sun's movements. I don't know if I should just keep going.
Well, I mean, the four cardinal directions, the whole 9 yards, and this is the sine wave that we've talked about. Another, if you could go outside the box with looking at the sine wave, it just shows it morphing back and
And
forth, north and south.
look
But
at the angles. How interesting is it, Lori, that they've got a vault to their walls and a pitch to the, here's your, come on, guys. If people don't see
yeah,
this, out there, that this is a representation of the sky,
of
the
the
window, the glass. You
portals.
see the angle.
I don't care. People freak
No,
out and use the word portal, but
the
that's,
vault. This is, no,
well,
the
the
vault I'm talking
inside. Yeah.
about. The
Okay.
vault. See the angle here?
Okay. So what are we looking at through these windows? Are we on this? Are we on the north? Are we on the south? What are we
This
looking
is the
at?
south.
If you think they're okay, we're at
This
the
is the
south
south.
looking in.
Looking north from that
Which is
perspective.
interesting that Free Energy always posts his videos with the south at the top instead of the north.
And then just to bring it all back to show you maps again, with these are hundreds of years well before Robotham's time, depicting everything again post-Diluvian, and then I can go throw it back again one more time and state that and an investigator I've come to the conclusion or the proposition that the Earth has changed its shape, contains many shapes, many forms, including multiple realms, planes, and realities. But we do know that where we live is fixed. The sky above us moves from east to west, and it could be any one of these shapes combined, and all of them at the same time. But I do not believe that there's any proof that we live on a spherical Earth that has gravity that puts us upside down.
No.
No.
Of course not.
Sure. Okay, that's it.
So,
Thank you.
all right, hold on. I lost my Hangout page. Okay. So, the objective is, on the Flat Earth Conspiracy Channel, to continue to look for evidence, both to support a model, not a specific model, but to support creating a model, but also to investigate all of those questions and flat earth debunkers out there who say, oh, well, all you got to do is show them the southern flights and flat earth is debunked. No, it's not. And then, or they'll say, all you got to do is talk about the Coriolis effect and flat earth is debunked. No, not again. And each one of those things, most flat earthers can't come up with a ready answer, a ready explanation for how these effects, and that's what they are, they're effects, how they work. And so they, just say, well, it's not true, or there is no such thing as a Coriolis effect, or the southern flights don't exist because they fall off the radar after they take off and get off the coast of a continent, and so on and so on and so on. And the same thing with the ice wall. You can't go to Antarctica because you'll get blown right out of the water, because the ice wall is being protected by the military of the treaty people, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, when you look at all of these, what I call mythologies of flat Earth, and instead of ignoring it, or instead of saying it's not real or it's not true, forge ahead and find out how much of it's true, what of it is real. You know, you don't have to make up excuses. Well, the sun speeds up double time in the southern hemisphere, so that the flights work, or any of these explanations for, well, nobody's ever gotten to the edge because you can't go just traipsing across Antarctica willy-nilly. Well, you might not actually be able to just take off walking across Antarctica, because all of those territories are mapped off, and you know, however they square it out or make pies or however they delineate it, it has been divided up by the signatory countries that control certain parts, and their bases are there, and so on. But as we've shown, these areas are not pizza pied all around the outside of a circle, because they go to each other, they connect to each other, and not by flying across the whole world. Okay, so we're working on, slowly but surely, coming up with, I guess we would call them not proofs, but maybe explanations for all of the anomalies that we've investigated so far, and the things that we've, you know, debunked, so to speak, or found otherwise proofs for. And we will be, over the next couple of months, making some short videos to explain our position. And hopefully then, we'll continue to add more, but hopefully then, when someone says, you know, ha 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 Pac-Man, and thinks that's enough to just poo-poo everything we've talked about over the last year, we're here to tell you that you know, water off a duck's back. That's not a debunk, and that's not anything to be joked about, because you know what? At the end of the day, you don't know any more than we know how you can start at the coast of Ecuador and head west and keep going until you come back to the coast of Ecuador, and that happens. That's real. Okay? Now, yes, they seem to be able to explain that quite readily on the AE circular map. The problem is it doesn't work that way either. Okay? But we do know that it works. We do know that you can go east and east and east and east and come back to west where you started. And so even on the square Earth map or model, it happens. So, and can we go out there and discover some portal or window or door or veil? Probably not. But the preponderance of evidence will sooner or later lead us to, it can't be this, it can't be that, and it can't be all these other things, so it must be this. Okay? And that's all we're trying to do. And if people have a problem with that and get mad or call us names or whatever, we don't care. But at the same time, the things that we know for sure, that we call people out on, we know for sure. And if you don't see it and you don't know it, then you need to look at what we've shown you, what we've been trying to say, instead of just, you know, blowing us off out of hand and saying, you know, ha 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 Pac-Man, and that somehow unsubstantiates every other thing that we've ever talked about. So I don't have a lot of other else to add. Lawrence, do you have anything else? You're muted.
Well, I certainly enjoyed my time, Laurie, and the time with the chat.
I've got something here which we can have a look at, which could be quite interesting, because we still get these people saying that you know, the 24 hours of daylight in the Antarctic is all fake. But if you look at time and day, and then you look at the webcam in Antarctica, or one of the webcams, then the two should marry up. So let's take a look.
Hold on, Lawrence, your camera is not on.
Oh, right. Okay. Camera's on. Camera on.
I think it just pooped out when you unmuted or something happened. So if you're going to present something, I don't know if you need your camera, but maybe you do, maybe not.
Oh, I can see myself now.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. What am I doing on there?
You're supposed to be on there because you're talking and your camera's on. So.
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, I just want to show you something. So let's take a look.
God love you. You just.
Screen share. Here we go. So here we go. Got a screen share. Oh God, a minute. Right. Okay. Current local. So here we go. Casey Station. Assuming you can see this. So if you look on Casey Station, which is shown by the marker on there, which is just to the west of Australia, on the so-called Antarctic, and we've got here sunrise 0746 and sunset at 1731. So we've got the sun rising at 71 degrees and setting at 288 degrees. So let's take a look at Casey Station and see whether those sunrise and sunset times marry up. So got 0746 sunrise, 1731 sunset. So obviously you've got twilight to take into account as well, which they might not be taking into account. So let's have a look. See what time sunrise comes up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, we got sunrise. You know, the lights, it's clearly daylight there at 7:10. So that's about right. And sunset, let's move it on. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, start to go dark about 6 o'clock because the lights are back on. So that is actually marrying up to what is shown on time and day. But you get these people saying, "Oh yeah, but that's a government institution. You can't believe what they're saying." Well, you know, it'd be ridiculous to say that, you know, they've got all these webcams out and they're all synchronized just to match up with time and day. That's a joke.
Well, the idea is, and by the way, perfectly done research, because if you're going to say that something is a government, you know, psyop site or it's controlled or whatever, there's more than one way to prove that it is or it isn't, and that's to cross-reference it with some other thing, okay? And the best way to do it is to triangulate it with 2 or 3 things, so that just like Lawrence showed you, a live camera versus a website feed telling you something. If those two don't go together, then somebody's playing games here. But if they do go together, okay, then what? Did we have the guys at the Antarctica station and the people at the time and date, or isn't that what you use, time and date?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they call each other and say, okay, at 0600 synchronize your camera to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but how do they make it go dark? You know, they haven't got control over the daylight.
Lights. Cue the darkness. Cue the lights. You know, I mean,
and so when we get their summer, which is our winter, and we do get 24 hours of daylight in December, then how can these other flat earthers deny that? Because it shows on time and date that they've got 24 hours of daylight, and you can see on all the webcams they've got 24 hours of daylight.
Well, just like Ronnie was using SunCalc, you know, it shows the pattern of the direction of the sun, where it's coming in, where it's going out, and the sweep of the sun. And, you know, a couple weeks ago, or I guess it was last week, time flies so fast, you know, oh, no, it was on Ronnie's video to Jaron. And what's the name of that video, by the way, Ronnie? It's on Event Skeptic channel, and I think I put it up on this channel too. I can't remember, but it's like Flat Earth plus Jaron. But he went back over and showed SunCalc at the equator, and showed that it, you know, comes in at the east and goes out at the west, and it travels in a straight line over the equator. And my response to anyone is this: if the sun ever travels in a straight line on any day of the year, it cannot be a circling map and model. One time is a killer. I mean, it's a throat slasher, and because you can't have a circling sun and moon and map and model and blah, 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 and then on this 2 days, equinox, the sun breaks out and just, like, doesn't break out and goes straight across, and then the next day falls back in line and goes around in a circle, okay? It can't work that way. So go investigate that. Don't take our word for it. Go look. The sun travels in a straight line on the equinox at the equator. That's why they call it the equator. I mean, as a matter of fact, Ecuador didn't used to be called Ecuador. It used to be called Quito. That was the name of the place. That's the name of Ecuador. And then, like the late 1800s or early 1900s, I can't remember, they renamed it to Ecuador. They renamed an entire country to Ecuador. So, you know, go and cross-reference 3 different kind of ways. The video that we showed you from Vieques, Puerto Rico last week, okay, where the sun went across on a time-lapse film and showed the, you know, apex of the building going across and straight line, perfectly straight line. And somebody said, you know, well, it wasn't exactly straight. It was off just a little bit when it came in, when it started up. And I'm like, okay. Vieques is 18 degrees north of the equator. So it's not on the equator, okay? But it was the best map. It was the best, what do you call it?
Representation of the path.
Well, no. It was the best time-lapse film we could find. You know, you can only find what you can find. Now, if somebody can find an equatorial pergola with a 4-apex roof on it, hip roof on it, and show us what's happening on exactly the equator, then that would be awesome. But we haven't been able to find one of those. Okay, but 18 degrees north was just enough to show on one little corner edge where it kind of looked like it made a little bit of a cut. Not enough, because the whole thing during the whole length of the day where the sun's going overhead was straight as an arrow. And the 18 degrees north is not that far north.
Yeah.
But, you know, in honesty, I went back and looked just to be sure. Was it exactly on the equator? No, it wasn't. No. And I'm not going to lie and say it was. But it shows what it shows. So go look at it yourself. It's in last week's video. It's at the beginning.
I got it playing right now.
Okay, there it is. Let me put you in. There you go. There it is.
Yeah.
18 degrees north of the equator. Nice straight line, horizon behind you. Nice straight pergola lined up with the the line of the sun as it passes over this little pergola. The apex of the pergola, where all four lines come together, is following right along the curve, does not deviate one iota. So straight as she goes.
You know, we've got a huge uphill battle here, Laurie and Ronnie, with because a good way to sort of test the water is go and have a look at these videos that are promoting a false model, and you read the comments. I'm just going to show you one. We'll quickly go through.
Trust me, I know, Lawrence.
Just so you can see how fucking ignorant so many flat earthers are, praising a video that's pushing a false model. Let's take a look at this one. This is the one I was telling you about earlier, and it was by Fouquet Word, and he's done this thing in his room with one of these fans moving round to simulate the sun and the moon and stuff, and he's got this marker in the middle of his floor which he says signifies the North Pole. Well, let's look at the comments. Antonio Subraps, I've never heard the words. Thank you very much, with so much meaning. Yeah, okay. Trees, slices, oh my god, that's so funny. Blah blah. Snide. Flat Earth and other hot potatoes. I just watched this and find it the clearest explanation thus far, Nick. Thank you. This is a great video to share whenever the question comes up. So Patricia Steer is saying, let's share this great video which is pushing a false model, you know, with the North Pole at the centre. You know, taboo conspiracy, excellent demonstration. You know, Fouquet would, yes, I think we can map things this way, hoping many will make observations. Added to my best flat earth video list from Migmag. Thanks for your work, mate. I really appreciate that. You know, durate, ingenious, very clear demonstrations should be understandable even for the most programmed people. You know.
God, you're making me sick. That's so amazing.
Perfect. Euro GG. Hi, great video.
Sorry.
Spot that truth. It's another great video. You know.
Hold on, Lawrence. What, Ronnie?
Well, what I'm depicting here with the shadows of the Pyramid of Giza also explains the path of the sun as well, and how it exposes the multiple sides that we don't really notice. And Carl Sagan was the one who did the video about the tower in, was it Cyrene? And the shadow was so long, and then he went north, and the shadow, and how he calculated the distance of the Earth. And, you know, these are the small things that the globularists are going to just eat us apart with, you know. And part of the reason why I'm speaking out with you guys and Lawrence is because we want to win. We want the truth to prevail. I don't want to be a part of a cult that is dogmatist to making things circle, when in reality, right, they don't. And it's funny because I just wanted to point out the shape of the tent here again in this image. Why is it not showing me the image? You see the shape of the tent here, if it's screen sharing, hopefully. Like,
yeah.
It's got the celestial axis as well as the vault and the
Lawrence,
angle.
could you mute, please?
It represents as well the straight equator. As you can see in the sky above, this distance from where my pointer is to the top here probably covers 5,000, I don't know, at least 1,000 miles, and it's straight. And you know, and they also depict the tent with the tilt, as
right.
you can see, right, as it said in the ancient the Chinese theorists definitely knew the Earth to be a square. And like, I'm hoping there's going to be some other people that help me out with some of this research, but all of their stuff, right down to the money that the Chinese, you know, I think it's a good luck coin. It's got a square cut out of the middle of it. Mm-hmm. This,
right?
As you can see, the diamond, or the oblong square as it is. This is a depiction of the Earth with the heavens around it. And, you know, people don't understand that the Jesuits came in like Oh no, that's not right. First they implanted the globe, and now they've changed it to a disc. So hopefully we get some more researchers who are getting involved in some of this great stuff. Okay.
Well, Lawrence, I'm sorry that, we see these. I don't know. I don't know what else to call. I don't know what else to say. Groupies maybe. I don't know. But at some point, believe me, we're going to hit a critical mass where they won't be able to play this anymore. They won't be able to continue this circle thing, because when people apply themselves and really look at the evidence, it doesn't take very long. It doesn't take very much for them to see what we're talking about. So there's another awakening that has to happen. When people think they woke up to flat Earth, that's the only part of it. That's only the beginning of the awakening. The rest of the awakening that happens after that is where they look in and they look out and they look around and they become a one with the world, with themselves in the earth, okay? And then they will start to see and observe what's going on. People who stay stuck in their room with their computer and don't ever take the time to go out and observe are going to be a lot slower picking up the ball and running with it. And so all we have to do is we just have to keep repeating and explaining and looking for more and more information and evidence and proof, and we'll reach a point where we'll have gathered enough that it will be unequivocal. There won't be any more argument. And I would rather start out with somebody fresh than somebody who already calls himself a flat earther to explain what I think's going on around me, because then I'm starting from a completely, with a completely fresh canvas. So
well, can I just share one more thing?
I muted you, Lawrence, so a minute ago, because you were making a bunch of racket, so you'll have to unmute yourself.
I got something for Lawrence here to look at in my email.
Okay.
Open source truth seeking at its finest. Lawrence, this message came in for you to look at this.
Okay, what does it say, mate?
Okay, can we see the screen?
Yep, go ahead.
So is this correct? The false AE disk model contains 60% more area than the globe?
That's right, yeah.
Verifiable with GPS, UTM coordinate systems? Oh, I would agree with that.
Verifiable what? With what?
UTM grid systems.
Okay.
Ronnie, who's put this out? Who is it?
I don't know if they want me to put their name. Somebody, I believe his name is Timmy, something Tim.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that's good.
One second.
People are slowly waking up to the fact that they've been hoodwinked into going with a completely false model. So, yeah, it's dribs and drabs.
Can you show us this? Can you show us this, please? Because I want to see what they came up with.
So Sydney to Santiago is 15,889 miles on the AE equidistant projection.
That's a eye strength. Myth equals bait.
Yeah, that's well done.
They've got a sense of humor at least, haven't they?
Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, not the map PDF. Yeah, I couldn't see that. You sent it me, but I couldn't download it. He wouldn't let me download it.
It's interesting. It says flatearthconspiracy.com on the bottom.
Nice.
That's where they got the information from our video.
So the muscle, old Jesuit Freemason propaganda to project their
To
North Pole
protect their North
hoax.
Pole hoax.
Yeah, are you
Revived in,
listening, Jaron and Bob? Are you listening?
revived in
Yeah.
recent times by NASA
Sensible
psyops.
maps are fake.
Let him
It's
talk, Lawrence. I want to hear. Be quiet for a second. Okay, its sudden resurgence doubles as a honey trap to render globe NASA skeptics easily ridiculed and discredited with egg on their face while running down the shot clock to save an imminent New Age alien disclosure hoax from premature alternative media derailment. That's brilliant.
Oh
Well,
man,
whoever you are, Tim, nice job.
I like this. This is beautiful. Well done. Really well put
You
together.
know,
For
I
you.
have to say, this looks like the work of Treasure Map Tim. You have to tell me that's who it is.
Okay, we've got a winner. I didn't
Okay,
know
that's
if he
that's
if he.
definitely Treasure Map Tim.
All credit for this to Treasure Map Tim.
Okay.
I didn't know if he wanted his name said, but you know this is
Well,
pretty.
he emails a whole big list of people all the time, so you know it's about time. He
Wow.
tells everybody to listen to Lori and Lawrence and Ronnie all the time in the email CCs that I get. So thank you, Tim, for this nice piece of realistic humor.
49,000 miles, the Tropic of Capricorn. Here's the one. If you're in a debate with a globular person, make sure you tell them the ice wall is 78,225 miles.
Well, you know what? I hope Jaron gets this because he did some kind of convoluted math thing on Globebusters the other night that I was trying to listen to, and I'm like, where is he getting this formula, and where are these numbers coming from? And you know, he was saying that the ice wall was, you know, 50,000 miles based on what Captain Cook's, you know, diary said, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
When was Captain Cook, like 1541 or something? Come on. You can't, you know, we have no idea where Captain Cook went and how long he spent at any one given place. And so what if his logs say this or that? You know, it's okay to take in that information, but then upon verifying it, it's impossible. I mean, and besides that, I've posted multiple times on this channel the 3 trips that Captain Cook took, and you know, he's zigzagging all over the freaking place. He's all up around the North Pole, and he's all down, you know, down in Australia and New Zealand, and you know, you can't add that as just he stayed on this steady path all the way around the ice, you know, wall and couldn't find a way in. Well, other people say that was all subterfuge because what he really was doing was looking for the portals. I mean, I've had people say that.
Well, there's no 2 places on the map, right, Lawrence, that exceeds that 78. How many?
There's no place on the map where any place is farther away than 12,500 miles from where you are anywhere.
That's it. So if you have a map that's got 20,000 miles or 25,000 miles as the extremities of the map without any shortcuts, then it's not going to work.
No.
Because it's not reflecting reality. If
you take the globe and you start at Sarasota, Lawrence always likes to use that one, and you go east and east and east and east and east and come back to Sarasota or anywhere from there. You can't. It can't be farther than 12. I mean,
why is it though? Why is it? Do you think that those on Globebusters just don't get this? It's so obvious.
I don't know. I mean,
are they actually stupid?
Again, I have to, instead of saying stupid and idiot, you know, let's just go back to reality here, okay?
You know, Lori, I'd just like to say that there has been somebody out there that I've noticed takes quite a bit of flack. And before you end the show, I just wanted to screen share and say it's nice to see someone actually, I know, saying good things about the show and you and Lawrence. And Star Gods doesn't really get much attention. I know he went a little bit overboard on the whole Potatoes crew, but to each their own. I called Jaron an idiot like 30 times last week, and I regret it. So, thanks, Star Gods. He's like a pretty level-headed guy when it comes to truth seeking. I'd have to say, Lori. I just wanted to share
Yeah,
that.
he's got a long background in the truth field, and I respect him a great deal, and not because he says great things about us, but because he deserves it. And he's got a funky delivery, and not everybody likes his wacky style, but he keeps his videos short and sweet and to the point, and kudos out to him. There's several other people. Thomas Thompson has Flat Earth News on Facebook, and he is a square flat Earth proponent. He has been looking recently at the diamond map and the sinusoidal type projection of the map, and he's on board. And he, posts day after day after day on Flat Earth News. There's quite a few others. I mean, obviously, we often talk about free energy. No one's met him or her. Don't even know whether it's male or female. Assuming male for some reason. But
I called him a dude, and he didn't correct me. He was like, "No
okay.
problem, brother." So it might be. But whether that matters is beyond the point.
Well, no, it doesn't matter.
No, not at all.
One of the things, though, that is vitally important, and I think it is one of the reasons why the flat Earth community is predominantly male. And when I say predominantly, I mean 80% plus is male. And I'm not really sure the reason. There are a lot of women who believe in and understand and get their minds around the flat Earth theory and belong to the community, but they're just not real vocal because most women can't take the lowbrow slant that the guys use to mock and ridicule and excuse me, and so on. So a shout out to all the women flat earthers out there who are the silent minority. Please feel free to speak up more, not necessarily in support of me or other women, but in support of your own self, in support of your own beliefs, and let your backbone shine and feel good about it. But I feel we're at a turning point, Lawrence, Ronnie. I really do. I think that it won't be that much longer before people will stumble upon the real truth of the shape or function of the flat Earth, and when they do, these other people will be irrelevant. No one will go to watch them anymore. No one will care. And as a matter of fact, I find it very interesting that suddenly a lot of the top channels who were exclusively flat Earth have now started branching out into other areas of truth and talking about politics, talking about the New World Order and all that they are, and that's okay because we talk about it too. But our heart is on flat Earth because it is the one truth that I think unequivocally will set people free. If not their bodies, their minds. Their minds will be set free of their whole lives of propaganda, indoctrination, and brainwashing. So, anybody else have anything else to add? We're wrapping up at 3 hours here in just a minute. Okay, speak now.
No.
Forever hold your peace.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
I'm a bit brain dead today.
He's done.
I'm always brain dead. No, I've been up for 48 hours apart from 3 hours sleep because of
Well,
my
I know,
brain.
and I thought you took a vacation this past weekend. Did you
I
spend all
did.
your energy going on holiday, and now you
No,
had to
no.
come back and make up for it?
Well, all my business is sort of internet based. So when I came back, I'd got all the work that I would have had to do anyway when I got back. So today I had to do 6 days work in a day. So
Yeah,
I
I
had
know
to
how
work
that
through the night.
works.
Yeah.
All
So
right. Well, get
pretty
some
bad.
rest, and thanks for staying up late for us. What time is it there, Lawrence?
2 minutes to two.
2 minutes to two.
Yeah.
God love you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you next week, Lawrence. And Ronnie, do you have any last words?
Nope. Thank
Anybody you want to call an
you.
idiot?
I think we thoroughly provided enough proof for it. Debunk, globe, done, flat Earth AE model, gone, truth on the horizon.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down with that. All right, you guys. I'll see you on next Wednesday. Thank you, everyone who has watched with us tonight. Thanks for being good in the chat. We'll see you later, and love and peace out.
Yeah. Good night, folks.